can't wait to dive in and talk about it, and
Yeah, I mean, I give a lot of credit to God. We can talk about that. About he like,
sure.
ugh,
Yeah.
Brian, here's what you really need to be doing. But coincident with that kind of gut punch was finding this course from a friend, and it gives you the tools and the just the change and mindset, to be better. So I just yeah, part of this is I want to say thanks.
Well, thank you. And I mean, your appreciation for having this call with me is plenty enough, right? So when I usually have these calls, I end up kind of following a framework because it's based in the idea that no matter how often I learn this, I still learn from you guys in your journey and the things that you've gone through. And so that's my main intention is to learn from you actually. And so the way we're going to do this is I want to hear what brought you to the program, how bad things were, what was happening that actually caused you to join the program, where you're at now, all the positive wins and all the great stuff, and then the stuff you did along the way to get here. And so the first question I love asking is just kind of a weird one, but like, why did you trust a random stranger to save your marriage?
Because it came recommended from a friend.
Oh,
Uh,
really? It was a recommendation.
it's all about relationships and trust, right? Is a big part of that. And so, just a good friend of mine had heard about you, and I think maybe had a friend associated with the program, but she was just helping me. I worked with her in my former job, and she knew and she was a friend with Kathy, still is. We've repaired all that, but just knew the horrible time I was going through, and says, "Hey, you should just check out Josh and what he has to say." So found a couple videos, and I'm like, okay, that's worth looking into for sure.
Well, what did she know that was going on in the marriage that caused her to recommend me to you?
Uh, we're at the 1 year anniversary, almost to the day, Josh, of our separation a year ago after 28 years of marriage, high school sweethearts, and I was absolutely blindsided by it that Kathy left me one. I'm very much a traditionalist, loyalist. I mentioned God before, vows, very important, and you don't do that. And left me for another man, which just was a gut punch, absolute gut punch. And right about a year ago now, that ended, and we started repairing. Right as I'm coming into the course, we start repairing, and just in the early parts of the course it was like a light shining on, oh, that's what was going on in the
Mhm.
relationship. Everything she was saying that I didn't understand prior to separation started to make sense. The things she was saying coming back is like, ooh, I understand that now. So that's why I mentioned it was the worst time in my life. It was just like completely unexpected. I had some big blinders on, doing what I thought was right. You know the story. Doing what I thought was right. Provide, plan, like I'm around. But her main complaint, last summer toward like leading toward separation was we just become roommates, and there was a lot of truth in that. We were just kind of coexisting, was not filling her love tank, to borrow a phrase, at all.
Mhm.
A lot of truth into where we were in the relationship. So yeah, that's where I was in terms of like, whoo, rock bottom, praying a lot. Here's like you mentioned journaling in the course, but I started. I'm on my third
Wow.
journal to understand what's going on, understand me. I need to listen more to her. Literally write stuff down, Josh. Like, here's what she said.
Mhm.
Let's consider that. And so yeah, that's where I was, rock bottom, when I
Wow.
found you.
Like you said, I mean, you can tell me about how, God played a role in all this, but before we get into like the things you did, we can kind of fast forward to where things are at right now. And so first two-part question is, one, how long ago did you join the program? And then where are things now with her?
It's right about a year ago. It was like the first week in December. I remember it clearly. I forget the lady I was talking to set up like and understand the program or whatever. Literally, Kathy was coming back to the house for the first time, so
Wow.
we could go on a trip together. We I'm still associated with the North Carolina Youth Mountain Bike League. I used to run the organization, and we go across North Carolina, get kids on bikes, and was one of the early season trips that we used to do together. Married, not separated, and like our first kind of reintroduction, figuring each other out again, a trip like this. So I'm like, you can imagine, I'm like all types of nervous, eggshells, absolutely applicable. Like I'm literally like on the phone, like, hey, I need to hang up. She's coming in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
door. Like I don't, part of the aspects, like, it's that balance of you just want to show her that the work is having a result. You don't want to like, hey, I'm doing this, and all that type. So I didn't know kind of like how to handle that. I was like, click. Yeah, but I started the course the next week, and it has helped us, along that almost year-long journey now.
So yeah, what are some of the best wins that you had? Where are you guys at right now in terms of the marriage?
The biggest win, Josh, is that we are communicating like we never have before in terms of honesty, transparency, even if they're hard. We have had some of the hardest conversations we've ever had together, and we're doing okay. We're both withdrawers by nature. We're not doing that anymore. We're staying with it. We're staying present. Or if like, hey, too much, let's just step apart, and we'll come back to it and have those hard conversations. I think that's the biggest win. There's some real connection now between us that we had gotten away from after many, many years. And then just like contextually, 2 weekends ago, we're in Knoxville, Tennessee, celebrating together the wedding of our first son. He met a great girl, several years ago, and a year ago, neither one of us would have imagined us being there together to do it. And so
Yeah.
that's like a huge win. Because
Right.
part of the loss of separation or whatever, just the future that you envision. I absolutely envision all three of our kids like we'll be there, but man, a year ago, and Kathy shared that. That's one of those hard conversations where she's like, man, showing up to the wedding with this other guy, and like I don't know how that would have been, and that would have, awkward and horrible. But the blessing is that we were there together and really had a good weekend celebrating our
Okay.
son and our
When you,
daughter.
when you say other guy, was she seeing someone else, or you imagined her if it kept on that
No,
path?
she was seeing someone else a year ago.
Oh, she was with someone else, and so she stopped that relationship.
She did. Yeah, he
Okay.
stopped it. He stopped it, and that's a whole other conversation. But there's been some, I will say, lingering feelings, even some lingering contact. It's allowed me the opportunity, Josh, to establish boundaries. But again, have hard conversations where I'm literally able to hold her hand and understand those feelings and stay strong for that, even though that's one of the toughest things I've probably ever had to do in
Hmm.
my life. Hear about her feelings for another guy. But in the midst of those conversations, Josh, and this is the credit to the program. This is the credit to the program where she goes, Brian, I need your help. It like with clarity. Help me understand. Help me. So you know that she's safe enough. She at that moment to like,
She's yeah seeking guidance from me. I talk about in the program accepting your influence, but yeah, that symptom of her seeking your guidance is more than anything showing that you're taking the masculine role and she's following your lead, right? And she feels safe enough to do so, to ask for that.
yeah,
Yeah. And so she's in the house with you and
she is. Yeah, we can't, it's oh man, it was an emotional whirlwind about a year ago because again, separation, blindsided, another guy, it ends, coming back together. Before I had, I'd say probably all of the training, tools, and I'm kind of stumbling through that. But along the way, like, okay, Max is helping me understand. He was my coach, and awesome job, Max. And I would say the credit to Max is he can speak truth to you. He can hear all your whining, complaining, bitching, and go, here's what you need to do, or here's how you need to think about it. Just like some clarity. Max was
direct. Yeah.
really that's what I needed as I navigated, the reintegration of the marriage and how to be the best man and husband for her, and still again boundaries and all that. Max was awesome at that.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so yeah, let's talk about some of that work that got you here. So, I mean, the first step was like, you were just like, wow, this is I could see clearly how this all happened. I need to create a name for that kind of like process. But uh what was one of the first things in the program that you realized and you connected like, oh, this is what I was doing wrong, and then you started to kind of fix that.
Well, it's I think overall, it's the mindset shift. It's the it don't worry about her, worry about you.
Yep.
Be better for maybe her, but for you anyway, and whatever the future is. And nice guy tendencies, check. Uh, when you work through the ego portion, like what's my perfectionist, check.
Mm,
Like finding out all those things, childhood trauma, check.
mm.
Divorced parents, father didn't care about me, alcoholic mother, all those like, oh, it's just so it's funny in a way. It's like I left my parents divorced when I was 16, and like, my promise, I will never be that way. Well, I turned into my dad. Holy crap. Like that's what Kathy's telling me, even in the midst of our separation, she's like, you went cold. I needed your support. You completely went dark. Well, my dad did the same thing to my mom when the divorce happened. I'm like, ah, gosh darn it. So I think it's just that mindset of like, man, focus on you and she will react to the better you when she is ready to react to the better
Yeah.
you.
The label in that the program is focusing on the process versus the outcome, right? Like, and so when guys first come into the program, they're very reactive. They're like, you can hear it on the calls. I think if you take like a guy's first war room call versus his fourth, it's like how much he's focusing on mentioning his wife versus himself, right? And so, yeah, the reason why that works so much is like, I mean, you can't really prove it scientifically, but there's this idea of just like the energy. Women feel it, right? They can sense when you're just projecting all this energy out onto her and putting that pressure on her versus like, you know what, I'm going to pull that out on myself. I'm going to look at myself in the mirror. I'm going to focus on goals on myself. I'm going to be good without her again, which is what, she was oftentimes drawn to in the very beginning when you first met her. Or moments in your life when she was most attracted to you was those moments where you were just so fixated on your path, your purpose, and then she feels safe like, oh, this guy's going places and he's focused on himself, and that's very attractive to a woman, right? Because it allows her to relax into your leadership. And so, yeah, that's the first step, and I'm sure she kind of noticed that at first, but what would you say is, when you create all this awareness with Max or within the program about like these trauma patterns in your past and all this stuff, how did you effectively work through that within the program?
I will credit the structure of the program. And what I mean by that is you have a coach available, you have a community available, you have a lot of resources. A couple books I pulled. G.S. Youngblood, fan. Like his, masculine relationship is just kind of I'm a structured guy. I'm an organized gold personality type, and I like the structure and the safety and the, his way of framing that out. So I think it was the things available to me at the time I needed them or could fit them in the schedule or where the case may be, help me along the way. That's the best way I describe it. It's not, I don't think a particular thing. It's just the fact that those tools and resources were available for me to kind of pick and choose from, or lean into what I was comfortable with. Even now, that is the one thing that I thought about a lot and talked with Max about sustainment. I certainly don't want to regress. I know I am better than I was, but I do want kind of like a steady kind of, you know, maybe reading something new or checking in with the group. And so I still attend a lot of the calls. I like Max's masculine leadership, and I like Stacy's understanding the feminine calls. This is a Mars and Venus thing that, it's amazing. 29 years married, I'm still figuring out how to relate to my wife, but they're helpful. So
Yeah.
the structure of the program is really, really well done, I think.
Well, that's actually one of the things that I think keeps guys on the path towards success with their wives is this idea that you never stop learning. I mean, why, like the purpose of this call, like I told you for myself, I feel like I'm still learning myself, even I'm the one leading all this, right? And so I think keeping that kind of open mindset where like you never fully got it, even if your wife is back in your arms, she's looking up at you saying, I love you with all my heart, you're like, cool, that's great. And I'm still gonna choose to learn to grow and to do things with you, maybe even like find like a workshop together, or stuff like this to continue learning because that path means you'll never come back become complacent again, which is like the main cause of leading to that roommate syndrome, like you talked about.
Yeah, and that's the other element of the structure of the program. It's weird. Like I would have made the assumption like January, February of this year, like Kath and I were almost at stage 5, but we're back. I'm almost thinking like a stage 3-ish type of thing. Like we have great moments. Like we have more fun together. The intimacy is off the charts at moments, but we also have these like moments of just low. Like she even said this past weekend, like, I think we're finally turning the corner. I'm like, oh, finally. I've been on this path, and it's mentioned a lot in the course. Like, you sense like I'm doing all this work and like, I'm growing, growing, growing. And hey, babe, like, come on. But
Mhm.
she's on her own timeline and own path. But that's what the course helps you understand is it is going to do this, and it is just like I said, it's a marathon, man. It's not, hey, I'm married, done, good, learned all the things. Yeah, you got to keep
Mhm.
investing. And that's what I'm interested in now, Josh, is just how to
Yeah.
continue to sustain the
What is
positive.
one thing that you learned with Max that helped specifically around the masculinity component that was useful?
I think what Max helped a lot was boundaries. How to, like I said, there was some continued contact with the affair partner, and how to approach that in a compassionate yet firm way with Kathy. That was super, super. I needed to talk to someone to talk that through for sure. So the coaching is invaluable.
Would you normally lean into the more passive way of establishing boundaries or aggressive way before the program?
Passive. Well, I think there's two aspects of that Kathy has noticed a positive change. Um, First, I would approach it more angry, like with her, not necessarily the situation. And that was even early in the separation. She knows, like, man, part of the reason I was out of here is you were just so angry about it. So now I'm just better mindset to, um, kind of deal with the moment, so to speak. But then I was like, I don't think I set boundaries. Like, I think I just, I think we each in our relationship suffered by the death of a thousand cuts. And my version of it was, it's not a big deal. Just keep it down in here. I love her. It's okay. Well, that bubbled out at like just bad times, and that's what she noticed. Like, hey, why is he so angry about whatever?
Mhm.
So I think it's one, how to handle the moment, but also how to then come back and say, this is what I need.
Yeah. Yeah, and having that middle ground between the two, right? Because when guys first, most often when men learn how to establish their boundaries, especially if they lean more towards the nice guy paradigm of being passive about it, subversive and just expecting her to know and then getting resentful, that whole nice guy covert contract thing. I'm not sure if you read Robert Glover's book.
Yep, that was another one. Yep, like I said, your book list. I'm like, I'm just picking
Yeah.
them off the
So
list.
yeah, a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll do this like pendulum swing where they're like, oh, okay, that's bad. Let me go way over here. And they overcorrect and they become controlling or aggressive, or they're like, you're not going to do this. And it's like they're trying on new shoes for the first time that just don't fit. And she's like, what? This isn't incongruent at all. Like, this isn't who you are. And she tests even harder. Right. And so, it's really important to recognize that balance of like being assertive, but not being too aggressive about it. Right. When you learn these skills.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing about someone with your situation that I'm curious about that you have to work through, which I know you probably didn't. There might be still some work there, but is the forgiveness component, right? Of like releasing that resentment, not letting it sabotage you down the road when she starts to come back. Is that something that you worked on with her?
Still working. I think
Mhm.
forgiveness is not a one and done. It's you got to keep coming back to it. Um,
Yep.
we are still working through that. I don't honestly, Judge, I don't think she's forgiven me per se for, our relationship up to the separation in the fullest extent, because the pain still comes out. The pain still comes of, I hear it about, well, this and well, that. And so I think there's still on both of our.
One other thing I wanted to ask too, which is a big component of the program, is the idea of passing her tests, right? And I want to know, like, I mean, I think it's clear you already brought up a few in this conversation of tests that she's brought to you, but how often do you feel like you are able to hold your frame and not react and pass her tests when she brings them up to you?
Much better. I don't know if I'm at the point of looking forward to the tests, but I am equipped to handle them from a presence, from a stability. I don't run away or fight anymore about it, but it still does prompt some anxiety. I recognize it, but I think in and of itself that's a win. Like me recognizing here's the flood coming. It's I told Max this, and I made it my social media profile for a while. Was Neo from the Matrix.
Yep.
Do you know that scene at the end of the first movie where he's stopping the bullets, and then he picks the one and he kind of looks at it. That's it every time, man. It's just like here, either from her, like oh, here's something. What's that? Or like, oh, here it comes. Let's catch that and pause it. I'm just going to drop it,
I
type
love
thing.
that you said that. That's literally what I think about when you find like you're able to see like behind the veil of what's actually going on, why she's doing these things, and how she needs just safety in that moment. She needs you to be stable,
You know,
right? To just like literally when she throws tests at you, you're like, and then like that's that pause, like you see the test, and you're like, okay, and how do I want to respond to this, right? What do I
yeah.
want? What does she need underneath those words that she's using that hurt me, right? And so, yeah, cultivating that ability, that space is,
Well, I think it's mentioned somewhere in the program, but I think the relationship with my daughter has improved greatly
oh wow,
through this experience, mainly because my daughter stayed with me during the separation. We
okay.
had to, kind of get through it, but also the tools of the program, same thing. Like, my daughter will just throw, and you're like,
When
vice
you
the
when you
front
said
father.
yeah, I mean that's guys talk about all the time how the other relationships always improve as well, and that's I mean, of course, if you're changing, everything else around you will change besides the
Just in
marriage.
life, road rage, or whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever. Why am I getting upset about
Yeah.
this?
When
Whatever.
you said you were in stage five, this caught my ear. Like, how did you know you were in stage five in those moments? What was happening?
We were having fun together again. I was better at catching the flow. Some Kathy criticized me of being too rigid, stoic, planner, and so we're high school sweethearts, Josh. We know what it felt like, and
Yeah,
we'll never go back to that, high school, but that flow, just like intimacy off the charts, probably better in this past year than it has been past 10 years in a relationship. Those type of things, like true, like I mentioned, true connection. We're sharing, we're having fun, we're just like really, really connected. But then, there are still some moments where
right.
some hurt comes up, and we're both in, call it a mood or whatever. And when she says like, "Ooh, I think we're just turning a corner," that's why I think she still has a lot of that, the duality, coming back for her probably stronger than it does for me per se. I
Yeah,
think it catches her every now and then. That's why I say it. And I think you mentioned in the course is like it's not it does,
yeah.
you know, go like that. But fair enough, it's a relationship. It will always, have its moments of
I
things.
mean, so
So
does life oftentimes, right?
yeah.
It's not always this. A lot of times, the guys, we can live a life but God will be like, oh, there's a lesson you need to learn. Which, by the way, I want to give you time for that. You said God played a huge role in this. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think, I'll mention a failure of my leadership in the home for many years of not staying God-centered and praying daily. My journal it's a daily prayer every morning,
Mm,
sharing with the family, and my thoughts on that. But in the midst of that separation, like I said, about the time I was finding the course, um, God told me you made a promise to love her. Show me. That's what he told me, Josh. Just show me. And I'm like, but it's like, yeah, just like you abandoned me, just like you
mm.
discredit things I tell you, just love her. And that's my mandate is to love her.
That's how you oftentimes know it's like coming from a higher source. Is that it's this? It's just it's not complicated. It's just like simple and clean. It's like just do this. That's it,
Yeah.
right?
And it's a mindset, but through this there have just been just amazing blessings. As hard as that is to say, a year ago was not a fun time, but the friends that surrounded me,
Mm.
the support I found like this, being in
Mhm.
a financial position to afford a course like this, like things just kind of lined up. I mentioned improved relationship with my daughter. um, it's been pretty amazing when you look at it. So just, I think you mentioned it in the course too, just that gratitude, that attitude of gratitude, helps a lot. And so, yeah, it's been good to have that kind of foundation, growth, the checkpoints with the coach, the tools, the resources along the way to go, yeah, this is actually doing all right.
Nice. And one of the last questions I love asking guys, it's an interesting one as well to end things up, is if you can go back to that year ago and we get in a time machine, you can tell yourself one thing that he needed to hear in that moment, what would you tell him?
Um, we're grounded in the moment would have helped a lot.
Being
Um,
grounded.
grounded in the moment because it blindsided me, but there were signals up, several months prior, and I didn't hand them all. Like I panicked. Like you mentioned, of course, I was throwing flowers and and it just it overwhelmed her. It just like it's too much. I got to
Yeah.
go. So just like grounded would have helped me a lot back then. I'm not saying I would have avoided it, but would have put me in a better place for sure. But
Yeah. Yeah. And that's honestly, it's funny you say that because I just came back from this David Data teacher training last week, and
that read that book too, man. That's a good one. You because when you mentioned like pass or test, I'm like, oh yeah. I read that
and
and I'm like, oh gosh.
right, I thought it was going to be I didn't know what this event was going to be like, and I thought it was going to be a lot of lecture mixed with some exercises. We spent from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night for 4 days. We essentially just did exercises of grounding and like polarity work with these other women there and being able to hold our center and what that looks like, what that feels like. And the woman were able to test us. They're like, there's literally an exercise, you'll love this, where we paired up with a woman and you're looking at her in the eyes. And if she feels you lost consciousness or attention, she smacks you on the shoulder. That's what it is though, right? Like when she's in her test, when she's pulling away, when she's in her whatever she's doing in her form of not feeling loved, not feeling safe, she needs you to just be
It
right.
is, yeah. It's so funny. I spent 27 years in the Marine Corps doing exactly that for everyone else except my wife, Josh. Everyone else, it's that the Chesty Puller moment, chosen Reservoir campaign.
Mm.
His regiment surrounded by 8 Chinese divisions. You know what Chesty Puller says? He goes, "Perfect. That simplifies the problem. You just shoot in any direction." It's that type of grounding that I did not have in my relationship, but I do now because
Yeah,
I've got better tools to
you're brilliant.
be grounded.
Right. I want to say, I know you feel great gratitude towards me, but I feel so much gratitude towards you for sharing this story. And I wanted to leave it to you if there's any last questions you have for me before we wrap up.
No question. Something you may want to consider. I don't recall coming across it in the course, but it's a tool or technique. But AI, man, if you're not using those tools, just from the sense of daycation planning. Hey, my wife likes this. Boom, boom, boom. You put it in there. Looking to go to this town. What? Find me the restaurants. Find me and it's like, ooh, well, hey, what's idea daily? Like, just nice thing to do for boom, boom. Just saves a ton of time, man.